And Homeland Security Secretary Alejandro Mayorkas is visiting the southern border today. Customs and Border Patrol is being overwhelmed by record numbers of migrant children crossing into the United States without a parent or guardian. Chief National Correspondent Matt Gutman joins me now from El Paso, Texas. Matt, some of these children are being moved to temporary facilities to try to make more space, but more children are being apprehended every day. So what's the situation like there on the ground?
A shocking number of children, in fact. And we're talking about children and teens, Diane. And the situation, according to officials with whom I'm speaking, is that the number of them is mounting every single day. The last data that I saw, 577 kids on average a day. That is a lot. We are talking about record numbers. Right now, there are well over 4,000, probably 4,200 kids in Border Patrol custody. They're moved to temporary facilities, but all of these facilities are essentially jails. They were designed, most of them, to hold single adult males for a short period of time, about 24 hours. And I want you to take notice of the numbers I'm about to say. Right now, there are 500 children who've been in custody for over 240 hours. That's 10 days, when the legal limit to be in Border Patrol custody is 3 days, 72 hours. That, as Congresswoman Escobar told us the other day, is unacceptable. Now, Border Patrol, CBP, DHS, they're doing whatever they can to try to make it slightly more comfortable for these kids. But most of them are still sleeping on thin mats, like camping mats, on the floor using Mylar blankets. Those are those foil blankets to keep them warm at night. They are still guarded. Many of them are behind chain link fences. This is not a very good situation. And the concern from many of the officials with whom I'm speaking, and everybody's talking off the record or on background right now, is that somebody's going to get hurt. This kind of overcrowding in the age of COVID is going to lead to a major illness, and what they fear is a child's death, and that is something that nobody wants to have happen on their hands. Diane?
And Matt, the Biden administration hasn't allowed the media into these holding facilities, they say, due to COVID-19 precautions. So what do we know at this point about the conditions these children are being kept in?
And that's ironic, because from what I understand, and from the statistics I'm seeing, and from the Congress people we're talking to, the overcrowding is massive overcrowding. And these are on pre-COVID numbers, right? So they're talking about several 100% overcrowded across the, 200 and something percent overcrowded across the board in Border Patrol facilities. In the Rio Grande Valley, that's Matamoros, Brownsville, McAllen area, it's about 500% overcrowding before COVID. So clearly COVID can't be that big of an issue if, they are overcrowding them to this degree. There's no way to control COVID at this point. We don't know why they're not letting us in. We do know that during the Trump administration, we did have much more access. We were not allowed to film inside a Border Patrol facility that had children because of privacy issues, of course, but we were allowed in, and we were allowed to interview Border Patrol officers. We're not sure what's going on. We can say that to some degree, many of these officials are being told not to speak to the press by the administration. Obviously, that makes us unhappy, and it makes people think, well, what's going on? Is there something there that they don't want us to see? And regardless of how much Border Patrol and all these authorities are doing to try to make it more comfortable for the kids, from video games to TVs to slightly better food, when you're that overcrowded, there is simply not that much they can possibly do. Diane.
So, Matt, what's the administration doing to try to control those numbers? President Biden and Secretary Mayorkas, they both have said that their message to would-be asylum seekers is don't come yet. But what action is the administration taking to try to deter these people?
Well, they're relying on policies that already exist. I mean, one of them is obviously the wall that's right here, and this goes on for miles and miles. That stops people at the border. They're relying on something called Title 42, which was instituted during the Trump administration, which basically says, due to COVID, we cannot allow people to come into the U.S. or stay in the U.S., so they get kicked back out. But, President Biden, Secretary Mayorkas, they have said, you can come, but just don't come now. that doesn't really seem to be working. And other than that, there is no real active measure that has been taken to slow the surge of migrants. I think the biggest concern, though, is what they're doing to try to accommodate the people who do cross. They are working on that, but it does take time. And in the meantime, the major concern is with all of these kids crowding into these facilities and shelters, is somebody going to get hurt or even worse? And that is really the major concern. Diane.
All right, Matt Gutman at the border there in El Paso, Texas. Thanks, Matt.
Hi, everyone. George Stephanopoulos here. Thanks for checking out the ABC News YouTube channel. If you'd like to get more videos, show highlights, and watch live event coverage, click on the right over here to subscribe to our channel. And don't forget to download the ABC News app for breaking news alerts. Thanks for watching.